Hello, listeners. Welcome to yet another show of Courage Talks. Today on Courage Talks, I have Siddhartha Ahluwalia. He's managing partner of Neon Fund, ex-entrepreneur, but I'm sure entrepreneurship runs in his blood. We'll let Siddharth complete the introduction, which is quite impressive, I should say.
Thanks a lot, Hetal. I was fortunate to interview you on the Neon Show 4 years back, and now I think we are just sitting in the reverse seat. So glad to be speaking again. So I'm managing partner of Neon Fund right now. We are a $50 million fund investing in a B2B SaaS built from India for the globe. And in the last 3 funds, we have backed 50 B2B SaaS companies. I'm also host of Neon Show. It's a podcast on startups, venture capital, and policy making. We get 25 million views a month across various channels, primarily YouTube.
Yeah, I know. That's very impressive. And thanks for reminding me, Siddharth. I think मेरी podcast guest की journey आपने शुरू करी थी. And honestly, when you got me on the show, I was like, seriously, does he want me? I think he's confusing my name with someone else.
I remember that.
Well, I think the topic is Courage Talks. The story here is Against All Odds, which is my book on my father. And what inspired me to write a book on him was obviously the various stories of courage which he experienced in his daily life. Nothing worth publishing in the newspaper, and I published in the book. But I think these are courage in daily life, courage which not many people would have really given it thought themselves. Forget about others feeling impressed. What's your version of courage, Siddharth?
For me, my version of courage is taking a bet on yourself in spite of whatever the circumstances are and doing it consistently always.
Any idols of courage, anyone whom you look up to when it comes to getting inspiration for being brave and being what you are?
I look up to my wife. She's the most courageous woman. Obviously, my mother is an equal. But yeah, her courage, my wife's courage inspires me because she comes from a village. I'm a Punjabi, she's a Brahmin. So we had an intercaste marriage and she had to take a large stand for herself, for us against the family. That courage always keeps me going.
That's very interesting. Any particular story or instance which you would like to highlight from her life? Anything which you would like to narrate?
Many things. So she is the eldest child in her family and she belongs to a village called Devkali in Uttar Pradesh. It's near Lucknow. And when she was in 10th class, she was asked by her bua, which we call aunt in Ghaziabad, to come and study. But her father was not very supportive of it because being a girl, they don't want to let girls go out of tier 3, tier 4 towns. Her mother took a stand against the wishes of her father and she finally came to Delhi to do her 11th and 12th. And then everybody was against her going to Delhi University. She got good marks. She got into Zakir Hussain College in Delhi, which is a government college. But it was very far away from Ghaziabad. Zakir Hussain is in central Delhi, where Chandni Chowk is, because it was 1.5 hours away. But she took a stand again. And then because she belonged to a place where the medium of communication was Hindi, so she was never good in English. English was not the primary mode of language. She learned English, and when the time came right to do internship, everybody again in her family was against her. That why should she pursue an internship? The logical thing is to pursue a government job. But she took an internship in a startup, and that's how we met. And everybody in the family was against her marriage. Then she persisted for many months trying to convince them. I almost gave 10 rounds of interviews with her family. Sharing my bank details to visiting my office, right? But she never gave up.
Wow. No, that almost made me emotional because that's how my dad's story came about. When एक के बाद एक, you have challenges and I think challenge है तो जिंदगी है. I mean, it's these challenges which knit together a beautiful story and which together experiences worth talking about.
Absolutely. And whenever you are down and out in your own life, then you can go back to your own experiences, that how you stood up for yourself
Right.
in the past. Right? These experiences always add up.
आपकी वाइफ की स्टोरी तो बहुत दिलचस्प थी. आपकी स्टोरी सुनाइए सिद्धार्थ. वी नो यू व्हाट यू आर टुडे, बट टेक अस बैक डाउन मेमोरी लेन. बचपन कहाँ बीता? व्हाट वाज चाइल्डहुड लाइक? हाउ वर यू एज अ किड?
I learned from my father. My father was always a small and medium businessman. First, he had a scooter shop in Meerut. I was born in Ahmedabad but brought up in Meerut because my maternal side was in Ahmedabad and paternal side was in Meerut. So it's a normal tier 2, tier 3 town near Delhi. But what I saw is my father was always in business. When I was born, he didn't have a business and it was tough for him to have a kid and not have any income. Then he started a shop for selling second-hand scooters. So he used to, in winters, go to Amritsar. Back then, in early 1990s, there was an arbitrage. So scooters of Bajaj were sold in black. So he used to drive at 4 a.m. scooter from Amritsar because they were available for cheap and come to Meerut, crossing almost 300, 400 kilometers in harsh winters on a scooter. I saw that right as a kid, and then his business collapsed. He was out of business for 3-4 years. It was a tough time for us. Then whatever little money he had saved, businessmen in Delhi asked that he put in coal mines business along with him, and that guy ran away with the money. So again, tough. And after let's say 7 to 8 years or more of not having any business, he started a liquor shop. Right? He got a license to open a beer shop in Meerut. That was good. Like we had good 3-4 years, but again after that, the government of Uttar Pradesh changed the licenses and gave it to mafia. That's how the politics of India has been. And he was again out of business. So what I realized that during his course of journey and seeing all these tough situations where we were almost hand to mouth many times, that doing a business could never kill you. So when I went into college,
it can only make you stronger.
Yeah, it can only make you stronger. It can never kill you, right? You will survive whatever happens.
Yeah.
And from 2006 to 2011, when I was during college, I had made up my mind that I want to pursue a business, and my strengths were information technology, computer science. So I want to build a software. So just after doing like less than 1 year of work with Amdocs right out of college, I started my own company. Back then, my father didn't have a business, so I had to support my mother, my father, my sister in Meerut. And it was a tough time because startups take time to grow.
Of course.
And then I got 2 co-founders, and they knew about my situation. So we split equally, but they graciously agreed that they'll take care of expenses once my savings exhausted. They'll take care of the savings of home because we used to live out of first floor, out of our parents' home. So we thought it'd be the rent for our office. And then things changed in 2015 when we received the first round of funding.
Who was your first investor?
Rajul Garg. He's the founder of Global Logic and Pilot.
Well, I know. Yeah.
He also belongs to a small tier 2 town. And he's from Muzaffarnagar, even further away from Meerut in tier 3. So he could relate to our story. And I think what is common is there was very high amount of grit. Whatever happened, I'll not give up. The logical choice, even my relatives used to tell me, you can do a good job. You can have a nice package across large tech giants like Amazon, Microsoft, and take care of your family. Why do you want to pursue this? This is something which comes out of within me. I can't suppress it.
अंदर की बात है.
अंदर से आता है. It's like a calling from within.
Right.
Once you are pursuing that calling, there's faith in yourself that somehow you're going to make it happen.
No, I think it's pretty impressive the kind of struggles which your father has been through. And I think that hard work or struggle has got ingrained in you. Observing your father going through that, you're reminiscing about so many instances of his childhood. Any particular thing which he used to tell you, anything, any words of encouragement which you remember, which he would use for himself, any stories which he would talk?
Yeah, now I remember him very fondly because he passed away in 2018 because of an accident.
Sorry about that.
But he used to always tell me, right, don't give up, and there's always light at the end of a tunnel. Always aspire high, right? Don't settle for small. When I was doing a startup, my relatives used to make fun of me that, do you want to become Bill Gates? But my father never discouraged me. Even when we received 2 to 3 good acquisition offers, which could have changed for some period of time, they were like decent that they could have changed the next 3-4 years of our life, but not financially retiring. And so the relatives told me again, right? And so if you grow up in tier 2, tier 3 India, you're constantly judged by your relatives. So they used to tell me that, hey, take up this. It will change your family's life for 2-3 years. But I said, it will not change drastically for the long term. And I believe in this vision, so something great could happen. And my father never told me that, hey, take this or take that, because financially it could have freed us for the next 3-4 years. So he always asked me to pursue what I feel is right, rather than what he felt was right or what others felt was right. And he said, right, finally do something that, you can one day make the family proud.
I'm sure what you're doing, your dad up there is really proud of you, Siddharth. I think not to give up is a very strong encouragement, right? Because when the whole world is against you, and if your father is also against you, then many times you just follow his advice and just give up as well, right? I mean, so many careers have changed because the parents gave the wrong direction to their kids.
And what happens is, if you start believing early in yourself, in your own life, I think magic happens towards the later part of it.
Of course, yeah.
Rather than pursuing a career which was told by someone else or by society for first 20 years and then figuring out what do you want in life now.
Yeah. वो जो लगे रहोगा जो लगे है ना वो बहुत बड़ा factor है, right? I mean, when everyone wants you to give up and if you just stay around for that moment, I think there is light at the end.
Yeah. I remember one story when I was trekking in Triondon near McLeodganj, and I don't remember who told it, but it was at Babygogo Addodoc, just 2 more steps and you will cross. The two books that's kept on happening for the next 4-5 hours, but that is life.
Yeah. No, they say, right? Put one step in front of the other and just keep going, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Startups are all about risk, and you have had life full of risk.
Yes.
Any particular instance you want to talk? What's been your biggest risk in life?
So starting the startup was the biggest risk because I was in a stable job. The second biggest risk after starting the startup was we got good acquisition offers. I've shared it publicly, like from Practo, from 1MG, from First Cry, which could have changed immediately life, but I would not have pursued the path that I'm pursuing right now. And I think this is far more rewarding than being part of a small acquisition at that point in time that would have been. So rejecting those was very hard. Was a big risk because immediately we were getting a good salary, some good retention, some good cash for the next 2-3 years. So rejecting that and continuing to do the startup. So
Very
what was a tough decision at that point in time.
Yeah. No, I think saying no when you have an acquisition offer in hand is quite tough because you know that it can give you that momentary high, but as you rightly mentioned, it could not have been a sustainable high, and you would have always regretted the fact that you gave up too early as well.
Giving up too early was always a conflict when these acquisition offers came on table.
But finally, at some point of time, you did say yes.
Yeah,
Tell us.
we did say yes because what happened is we had given like 5 years of good journey. We had raised money, built and scaled a company. So we thought at that point of time, what next? And my co-founders also said, and now I had a team of 20 people. So it was just not me, right? Initially, we were 3-4 co-founders. And all those early acquisition offers, now a team of 20. And when this offer happened and we were running out of money, so we said that, hey, now it's a responsibility that this team of 20 trusted us, took a salary cuts. How can we get them into a 2x salary position? Also, the investors trusted us. How can we make a delta for them? If not a 10x return, but at least try to see if we can give the money back with some interest. So I think the later part of the decision came out of responsibility.
Right. I think that's good. And now instead of raising money for yourself, you are raising money for many other startups. You are in a way doing charity while doing business, right? So tell us about your fundraising experience, interacting with so many investors, knocking on the doors of so many investors, sitting on the head of so many investors to get them to be part of your fund. Tell us about your fundraising journey.
So the first vehicle or first fund that we raised was 2 million or 14 crores back then, right, in 2020. We deployed it in 10 companies. The next one was also 2 million. Similarly, I think the dollar rate became 15 crores. And in 2022, once both these were successful, we raised 10 million. The first one took 1 month. Second one also took 3 to 4 months. The 10 million took 7 months to raise. And while we were raising the 10 million fund, the market crashed. The current lull in the market started from 2022. And the first 7.5 million of that closed in 2 or 3 months. The remaining 2.5 million closed in 5 months. And for the current fund, which we are raising, is a 50 million fund, right? Folks told me that, hey, raise a 25 million fund, that's more organic. But I said, I would not be able to challenge myself, right? And entrepreneurs thrive on challenging themselves, testing their limits. 50 million is a number that we have almost reached 20% of it, which is 10 million right now, doing the first close up with it. But 50 million is a good number that I could say that I have challenged myself to the hilt, raising it. And it's been like the market is slow right now. But I believe that now we have a good portfolio of 50 companies. And my job is just not to go up to investors and raise. My job is to educate as many investors as possible about Neon. And tomorrow, if I'm able to hit 1,000 number of people who know about Neon, of investors across India, US, and other geographies who know about Neon, we'll find some believers. And once you find the more believers, it just keeps piling up.
Yeah.
So the job is right now, I treat the job as education, not raising money.
Very interesting. Courage is also in vulnerability, and we typically are expected not to be displaying our emotions, at least publicly. Any instance where you felt vulnerable, you were almost close to crying or maybe shed tears?
Almost since I started up, almost 6 months of the year. That's a curse of being an entrepreneur.
Oh man.
Because the highs are good, but the lows break you every time.
Yeah.
Each low when things are not moving up. So the journey is never linear in entrepreneurship. In a year, if you think there are 4 to 5 months of good months, then the remaining 6 months out of that, 4 to 5 would be pure low. When, let's say, as an entrepreneur, I'm not able to raise money for my own company. We are running out of cash. Some investor committed, but they went silent after committing and
backed out. Yeah.
Backed out at the last minute. I almost feel that there were lows almost every day during that journey. Just now, I'm now used to facing them. It's a muscle that you develop as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. No, I think it's quite introspecting, quite encouraging, I would say, to hear about your journey right from childhood, inspiration being your wife, as a surprise. Your father's story is quite heartwarming, I should say. And of course, finally, it's you, Siddharth.
Yeah.
You have had multiple challenges, and you're very young right now. I'm sure you have a lot ahead of you. And I think it's what you have seen in the past is going to carry you forward, and you will continue to get stronger and continue to get wiser as well. I'm sure not to make the mistake that you made in your early life. But any parting words, any source of encouragement for the listeners that you would like to share?
I think that whatever I have been able to achieve, whatever the team Neon has achieved, is through efforts of 100 other people, or maybe 200, 300 people that supported us during the journey. I truly feel that it takes a village to raise a child, and I'm not even bothered by every 10 or 20 rejections that I receive, even while fundraising right now. I'm just focused on the 1% that is saying yes, because my villages are those 100 people that say yes to me. I want to take them along and make sure that they are proud of that decision.
Great. Hey, thanks a lot, Siddharth. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here, Hetal. It's again fantastic to talk with you again.
Thanks, man.
Through this.
Thanks.